Blair Middle and High School presents Halloween Soundscape.
We were having a family gathering. Everyone having fun, kids playing, adults talking. I was talking to my cousin when some of the kids asked us if they could play in the woods. I was a little hesitant at first, but eventually I said okay, but to stay close by. They're playing for about 5 minutes now. We can all hear them laughing and running around, until it got quiet. We all froze, wondering it could have possibly made such a horrible sound. The kids started running towards us, screaming in horror. Me, my 2 brothers, and my cousin ran towards the woods to try and find who or what could have made the sound. It was pitch black, nothing but trees for miles and miles. The only thing we could hear was the sound of our shoes crunching on the leaves as we walked. He had screamed. We all turned around to see my cousin, white as a ghost, shaking. "What? Did you see something?" I asked. He just pointed. "It was right there. Right behind you," he said. I look at my brothers. They too, pale and shaken up. I slowly turned my head, my heart beating faster than ever, to see this freakishly tall figure that had humanly features. It had no hair on its body and was very slim. It was by far the scariest thing I had ever seen in my life. "Run!" my cousin screamed. We all ran back towards the party. I looked back to see it chasing us. "Hurry!" I yelled. At this point, there were tears coming down my face, wondering if I would make it out of those woods alive. We eventually make it back to the party, everyone screaming, wondering why we took so long. I look back into the woods, only to see nothing. I am just so glad we made it out of those woods alive that night.
Alright folks, that was I Put a Spell on You by Nina Simone. Now let's move on to our next story of the night. And for our next spooky short, I'm gonna have to take you guys way back into the 1800s. Story goes, a man named John Bell moved into a house near an area in Red River, Tennessee, which is now known as Adams, Tennessee. After they had settled in a new home, some peculiar things started happening. The Bell family began hearing some bizarre noises, including dogs barking, chains rattling, rats chewing, and a woman whispering. Soon, that woman became known as the Bell Witch. And many people believe she was a ghost of the former neighbor of the Bells, Kate Batts. Batts and the Bells had a long dispute over the land, and she swore vengeance on the Bell family before she died. Later on, Bell died from poisoning, and it's rumored it was work of the Bell Witch.
Home Alone on Halloween, a short story by me. It was on Halloween 1982. She was alone, and years after she would wonder what had happened that night on October 31st. The lanterns were bright, and in the air there was a smell of dust and pumpkin and cinnamon. The house was quiet and dark. The darkness sat in the corners of the many, many rooms peacefully. The lonesome light of the lamp next to her shone on the pages of the book. The book was old, and the cover was stained with the fingerprints of time. The blanket over her was warm, and the tea tasted of autumn and long evenings. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. It was sharp and startling. Suddenly, the room didn't seem so comforting anymore. It was as if the shadows were creeping closer, whispering, and in the air was a cold that reeked of old, stale wood. The lantern seemed to flicker, and the light of the lamp appeared dim and feeble compared to the darkness. Slowly, she rose off the sofa and walked quietly, one step in front of another, to the creaking door. She thought she was being watched. Her back tingled, and she felt like prey being surveyed by a predator. Every sound seemed magnified in the silence. Her breathing appeared much too loud. She rested her hand on the doorknob and slowly turned. The door busted open and was thrown back, barely managing to keep on her feet. To see a shadow whisk into the room and melt into the dark. Cold fear creeped into her. She shook and her heart pounded. "Hello?" It was a whisper composed of pure anxiety, and from the darkness came a terrible laugh. Who? The chattering of her teeth was the only thing that kept her from screaming outright. The shadows answered in a horrifying voice. It was not one voice, it was many, but they all came from one thing she could now see moving towards her. The lanterns flickered and died, the light sparked and dimmed. Cold, made of pure terror, washed into her every cell, freezing her in place as the thing advanced towards her. There was nothing now but it and her and the footsteps that echoed as it came closer. And closer. And closer. It breathed. and the sound of every breath formed goosebumps on her arms. It was upon her with one sweep, and her scream of terror pierced the night. She would never remember what had happened that night. She would only wonder where the darkness came from that stirred in her heart.
There was once a boy and his sister who thought it would be nice to go on a walk. What was that? That doesn't sound good. There's that noise again. Laughter again. What are we stepping on? We're stepping on bones? Let's just try to find our way out. They were never seen again.
Okay, everybody, get off the bus.
What's wrong with the door?
I think it's locked, but my keys aren't working.
Look, the high school door is open.
Oscar, Louden, Grayson, can you guys go inside and see if you can find anybody like principal, janitor, or maybe even some spare keys?
Okay.
Hello, is anybody there?
What's that noise?
I don't know.
I think we should go back now.
I think the noise is getting closer.
I think you're right.
What was that? Get inside now. Hurry, come on. Ah!
Is Mr. D okay?
I don't know.
What's that noise?
I think it's coming from those instruments.
What's happening?
Run!
I think those instruments are coming.
Run!
I think we're safe now.
Are those animals?
I think they're okay.
Yeah, they're coming back.
Hurry up, onto the balcony.
What is that noise?
Quick, into the science lab.
Guard the door. We should be safe in here.
Uh-oh.
I found you. Jeez, you guys were running everywhere. Great plan.
Thank you. Now the choir class is ours, and also good job with the flying instruments.
What flying instruments? They were held up by strings. It was so obvious. This was too easy.
Oh, it's not over yet. I'm just getting started.